Information packet on their way in. Did we miss anyone? You all have something? Great. Okay. So I think most of you have met me, but if you haven't, my name is Amina Halalian. I'm the Raptor coordinator. You all have emailed me at some point or another. And welcome to the year-long orientation. We're excited for you to start your year off. I'd like to start by introducing you to some other important people that you're going to get to know for the next year. Why don't I go ahead and start over here.
Hi, I'm Sarah Nelson. I am the CTRFP program assistant.
I'm Matt Trochon, the manager of Pathway to Discovery.
I'm Joel Polewski. I'll be the cruise director for the next year.
I'm Peter Chittham. I'm the activities director.
And I'm Kim Woodhouse, and I am I don't have anything witty to say. I'm the program coordinator for CTRFP.
And Caroline?
Oh, I'm Caroline Simpson. I work in the financial aid office, and I'm here to tell you what's going to happen to student loans if you have them over the year.
Yay!
Aaron.
Erin.
Oh, Erin, I'm sorry. I'm Erin Breed. I'm the finance analyst, so I will get you your money back. I just took it out of pocket.
Very important.
Also, Dr. Lowenstein will be joining us after a little bit for a Q&A later, but you all know him already, right? Okay, so let's get started with a little bit of alphabet soup, which I know you've already been overwhelmed by a lot of times. So let's make it a little simpler for you. PYFP is the Pathways Year-Long Fellowship Program. If you look at your information packets, most of you have a contract included on there that we're going to sign together today. That's the contract for this particular program. CTRFP stands for Clinical and Translational Research Fellowship Program. Again, not all of you are in this program, but a good majority of you are, and it's not to be confused with the CTR pathway. Then we have the MD with D, which is MD with distinction, which is sort of going to be the culmination of your year of research, and you'll hear more from Peter about that later. And then also, do you guys already know the pathway alphabet soup? CTR is clinical and translational research, GH is global health, MM is molecular medicine, H&S is health and society, and HP is health professions education. So you're all in a pathway, so I hope you know yours. I don't know if you guys have all looked at your information packet, but if you could give it a little page through right now, starting with on the front page, there's a label with your name on it and the programs that you're involved in and what pathway you're involved in. If there are any errors on there, go ahead and talk to me after the meeting today, because I want to make sure our records are correct. For instance, if the wrong pathway is on there, let me know. You'll also find a contact sheet, which is really important for you guys to know who to talk to. One thing I'm going to say a couple more times while I talk, but I'm going to say it once now. If something changes during your year off, you need to tell everybody about it. Don't just tell me, don't just tell your mentor, don't just tell Dan Lowenstein, tell your pathway director, tell Joel, tell Kim, tell myself. We need to make sure that there's open communication so nobody gets messed up. So the contract is in there as well, which we're going to go over in detail in a couple minutes. And also, most of you have a loan deferment form, which Carol Ann is, we're lucky to have her here to talk you through a little bit about that you'll all need, most of you will need to file that form. So, a little bit of housekeeping. In case you didn't know, you'll be receiving $26,520. That is the amount that financial aid has said you need to live off of for a year. You'll receive that in 2 lump sums, one in early mid-July and one in early January. That is considered taxable income, but don't expect to receive any tax forms from us. UCSF doesn't provide them. And unfortunately, we also can't provide tax advice. If you need help with that, you can go to student accounting at the time. One thing I just learned, so I wanted to make sure all of you know, you do have access to the library while you're off, which is, I'm sure, a relief for most of you. But if you don't already have borrowing rights set up, you need to do that right away, because we can only extend your borrowing rights if they already exist. And then, I'll say it again, if any changes are made during your year off, you need to tell all of us about it.
This might seem a little silly, but I thought I remember seeing an email that it was increased to $29,000
That is
a while ago because they saw that, or thought that this wasn't a livable wage in San Francisco.
That has not been told to me, and it definitely would have been. If you can find it, you can send it to me though. As of right now, you can consider, as of right now, you can consider it's gonna be 26,000.
But I think it's the opposite now, right? It was the
It
NIH rate is lower.
Exactly, the NIH only wants you guys to get 22,000, and we're giving you extra, so count yourselves lucky. Okay, so let's talk about that contract. Could you guys all get it out in front of you, those of you who have the Pathways Year-Long Fellowship Program contract? So, the Pathways Year-Long Fellowship Program is essentially a program for medical students that we've created to help you while you're unenrolled. Obviously, you know, while you don't have student status, you lose a lot of things like health insurance, like malpractice insurance, other really important things like you have to start paying into your loans. So the Pathways Year-Long Fellowship Program is there to help you be able to take your year off without digging yourself too deeply in debt any further than you already are. So you'll notice there's a lot of places for you to initial on there, but I want to go over in detail a couple of those things. You're going to be unenrolled. So just remember that if you take courses this year and you do not get credit, you cannot enroll for any courses for credit for the year. Signing off on this form, everybody, this is Dan. Involvement in the Pathways Year-Long Fellowship Program also means that you're agreeing to complete that MD with distinction. Again, Peter will talk to you a little bit more about what that means. But each of your different pathways will have different requirements, and you'll be expected to fulfill them.
What about the courses that are part of our?
You won't receive credit for those courses.
So we do them, we just don't receive credit?
Exactly. You cannot receive credit for anything for the year. Unless we've approved it beforehand, also, this research year needs to be a contiguous 12-month block. So that means no stopping and starting. So you may wonder what you get out of this. You get health insurance paid for the year. That's something that we will take care of for you. Your liability and malpractice will also be maintained while you're off in case you want to do anything, work with patients during the year. Some students do volunteer work and that kind of thing.
Does it apply to people who have external planning?
Yes, it does. Also, everybody, we're going to have a little Q&A after I talk, so you can hold all your questions. So Carol Ann will go over this a little bit more soon, but just briefly, if you're unenrolled, I think you all know that your loans will be accruing interest, and they would normally expect you to stop paying them back. For those of you who are eligible, we're going to be providing loan interest offsets to help with the interest that you're accruing. But don't plan on having that money in your pocket. We're paying it pretty directly to your loan providers. The biggest thing you need to notice at the bottom of this contract is that if you violate the terms of it, you'll be liable to pay back all of those costs that the program incurs. So we do take it seriously. And again, if anything changes during the year that you think would violate this contract, you need to talk to us about it. So if you could all go ahead and sign these contracts and give them back to me at the end of this session, I'll get the rest of the signatures for you and give you copies. So those of you who have a loan deferment form in your packet, you'll need to file that so you don't have to start paying back your loans like 6 months into your fellowship year. We're going to, if you look at it, it's a little bit of a complicated form, and Carol Ann's going to help you with it. But there, on section 4, we'll be providing a separate letter for you. So you don't need to worry about getting that part signed. You just need to do the rest of it. The way we're going to run this, you all need to fill out this form completely and file it with Carol Ann in financial aid by July 1st at the latest. And this is up to you to get it done. because you're gonna get penalized otherwise, and then you won't start paying back your loans. Anyways, Carol Ann, would you like to come,
Sure,
talk a little bit more about that?
sure. On that happy note. Hello and congratulations, by the way. I've given all of you who kind of need one a green folder that has your loan information. I looked up all of your loan information individually for you, so you'd have a list in front of you in case you forgot what loans you took out already. I know I didn't know all my loans when I was in school. I just signed everything they told me to sign, right? And I also made a sheet of sort of all that it depends, because you know in financial aid the answer is always it depends, right? And some of the things that are going to happen to you over your year-long research project depend on the kind of loans you have and where you had them from. And so I've kind of tried to give you a sheet that gives you all those gory details. The short version is that if you had loans as an undergraduate and then you had a break between undergraduate and graduate, some of your loans may not have a grace period. And since you'll be considered out of enrollment as of next week, they would want to be paid. And so we'll need to get that deferment form filled out and turned in as quickly as we can. Some of you have a 6 months grace, and I think I've written on all of them which loans have a grace period and which ones might enter repayment if you have some older loans. So in that case, we'll have 6 months grace period, which any student has after they graduate on those loans. And then we'll fill this fellowship deferment for the second 6 months. So don't worry, if you do everything right, you don't have to pay a dime on your student loans while you're in this year, okay? So I don't want you to panic about that. And I've put, I think, some little love notes in there for you if I think there's an issue or there's something going on. A couple of you somehow got reported as out of school in March, but I've had the registrar fix that. She already fixed it today, so if I put that note in there, that's done. I will be the one helping Amina figure out the interest that's going to accrue on your loans while you're gone, and it's really nice that you're going to have some consideration because your loans are going to capitalize a couple of times. You know what capitalization means? You know what I'm talking about? It means that the interest that's been accruing on your loans, because interest accrues while you're in school, because graduate loans are all unsubsidized, right? It's going every month in some pot, sitting over here on the side, being calculated in a simple way. Just taking the interest rate times the amount you borrowed, divided by 12, plunk. They add some more money into that bucket. Well, what happens as you leave school is they take that bucket and they pour it back on top of the principal of your loan. And then the next month when they figure interest, it's on a little bit higher amount. And that's going to happen to you perhaps, well, it is going to happen to all of you twice while you're gone in this year. And that's not really nice. So we're going to try to mitigate that, and I'm figuring out how much that's going to be. And as Amina said, we're going to try to put that back towards your loans. And we're still working on how that's going to work out. But I want you to know that we really recognize that, and we're trying to help as much as we can in that arena. So I also gave you my business card, because if you're going a long way away, like I know I talked to John, he's going really far away, right? Just take that business card. I can help you handle things while you're gone. And as Amina said, if you turn these forms in fact, you can get what you need to get done tonight if you want to. All you have to do is fill out your information at the top, select that you're going to be in a graduate fellowship in section 2, sign it, and give it back to her. We're ready to rock and roll. I have volunteered to track these. I'm going to send them to your loan servicers for you, and then I'm going to check up a few months later and make sure it all happened right, okay? So I don't want you to worry about your loans while you're gone. Okay. Boy, I said that really fast, didn't I? Do you guys have questions?
Well, let's wait till our next.
Oh, okay, we'll wait till Q&A.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
So we're going to have a Q&A in just a couple of minutes, but right now let's hear from Mr. Peter Shanhong.
This is going to be very simple because you're not going to remember any of this by the end of this today or even in a month's time, but we'll keep on telling it to you over and over again anyway. Okay, great. So I'm just going to briefly describe to you for the first time what MD with D is, MD distinction, and really tell you how wonderful it is and why everybody should get it. So, as you know, there are 5 pathways that I'm going to mention, and all of you should be in one pathway, at least if you're in this room. So, MD with distinction is this amazing opportunity that you have to really tell the world what you did this year, and you get a designation at graduation time. And in the past years of students who've done this, it's really been a terrific honor and a capstone to all the great work that we expect that you'll do during the year. For 3 of these items on the board, you already have done or will have been doing as part of the pathway, which is a rigorous curriculum, which is part of every pathway. A mentor project, which is everybody falls into this category in the room. And the scholarly presentation is one of the items in many pathways where you present at the end of the year either a poster or an oral presentation, basically a form of communication, which is what we want you to model for the rest of your careers. But the legacy product is something I'm going to spend a little bit more time on, and that's really what distinguishes MD with distinction from being in a pathway without MD with distinction. So the rigorous curriculum is really part of every pathway, depending on each pathway. But what I'm going to describe right now is the relationship between the CTRFP, or the Clinical and Translational Research Fellowship Program, which you can also think as being called the Pathways Year-Long Program. It's because it's more than just clinical and translational pathway individuals who are part of this year-long program that Joel will describe after this talk. Sometimes you have to be in this. It's basically a curriculum with speakers and a works in progress and mentorship that we'll provide if you're part of this program during this year. Some people have to be part of this program because the people are giving you money require it, and these are people who are in Prof Path or who are in the TL1 funding. Sometimes you're invited to be in this program if you're not being funded by those agencies. For example, if you're getting Howard Hughes or some other external funding, then you would be invited to be in this year-long program with the curriculum works in progress, etc. But not everybody is. So these are examples of the curriculum that we have, and you'll get more information about this after this talk. The scholarly presentation, this is the second component of the MD with distinction, is having a scholarly presentation. Most people in this room are going to present, depending on your pathway, an e-poster-palooza exclamation point. That happens once a year in May, and you'll get plenty of notice about it. It's been an amazing evolution over the past few years, and Joel will mention a little bit more about it, but it's turned into an electronic poster presentation. It's been very successful, and people really liked it. And it's not just standing next to your poster presenting to whoever passes by. There's actually a built-in audience of people who are thematically organized, and they go around. It's very, very nice. Other people have, depending on your pathway, you may have other ways of fulfilling that requirement, but essentially most people do the e-poster-palooza exclamation point. The CTRFP symposium is a symposium at the end of the year that is close to e-poster-palooza, where we have all the folks who are involved in this year-long program present their work in an oral presentation. You get a lot of practice beforehand, peer feedback, etc. And that's also part of the scholarly presentation that you will do. And you'll get plenty of notice, but essentially around February or so you'll be preparing an abstract, submitting that, and then you'll get some instruction about how to make a fabulous poster, etc. for that. So we talked about the curriculum, we talked about the presentation. The mentor project is something all of you are going to be doing. In terms of the guidance for people who are going to be in MD with distinction, for most of this year, people will be able to do this, but most people meet with their mentors at least once a year, and that's kind of what distinguishes, I think, somebody who has a great project is that ongoing relationship with your mentor that Joel will talk a little bit more about as well. But if you're taking this year off and you're part of NDOD, most people tend to take time off during the year you come back to become an enrolled student as in your last year, and you can finish up some of the work that you've started. If you say you wanted to finish a publication, you wanted to do an extension of the work that you've done during this year, during last year, you registered for an elective, you can get credit for that, and that's 140.20. It's all on the Pathways website. And that's a way for you to cross these type loose ends, and then continue working on that final piece, which I'll get to, which is the legacy product. And the legacy product is really what distinguishes folks who are in the ND with D distinction program from the folks who are not in this program, and that's really the quality of the product that you prepared during this year. And I would say many of the folks who've done NDOD go on to have a first authored publication, and Joe will speak a little bit about this. What this is essentially is you're taking the year off, you have a fabulous project, we really would like you to prepare this for publication, to disseminate it to the rest of the world, and this is a program that acknowledges the quality of your work. So you're going to be talking to your mentor, you'll be talking to your Pathways director, but most importantly, we'll be asking you to set up a committee, and the committee is really a great thing where you have 3 people that you'll appoint, and we'll give you more information about that, who will meet with you at least 3 times before you graduate. And they'll give you a lot of individual feedback. And a lot of people have found this over the time really, really helpful, because they've also forged connections beyond the research arena to career advice. Somebody apart from your mentor is essentially going to be in your committee. Your mentor will be, but also other people who could be thematically involved, or people who are in a particular area that you're interested in professionally. You are responsible for arranging these meetings. And again, like I said, you're going to forget a lot of this stuff, but during the year we'll be reminding you of some of these things. So these are kind of a rough guidelines for deadlines, but you're taking the year off. But soon after taking the year off, you're going to, if you're interested in NDOD, and some people have to do NDOD, and Joel will speak about this, you declare who's going to be in your committee. So just as like, making a blockbuster movie and having your favorite stars be in the movie, and having, basically all of the hard-to-get people at USSF signing up to be in your committee, and then you having a convenient way for them to all gather around the table and give you advice, instead of like running after people, which is usually my problem. Then you have a committee meeting sometime during the year that you're taking the year off. After you take the year off and you come back to school, we'll ask you to meet with your committee meeting at least a couple more times to help give you guidance on the work that you're completing, hopefully for a first authored publication, or another kind of equivalent, which is something in submission. You don't have to have it actually published by the time you graduate. You submit a draft on the deadline, and you have it. It goes into the UCSF ether. Generally, some other external organization or group will look at this and say, yes, this is like an amazing product, and this bodes well for UCSF's name, and you get anointed, and then you go to graduation and you get an asterisk next to your name, and everybody's like, wow, this person really did an amazing thing that all these people said was wonderful. So that's essentially what MDOD is, and I hope that clarifies any confusion that people have. But you'll get more information when Joe presents it. But again, people have had no problem meeting these goals when you take the year off. It's actually very, very easy to do. I think the only problem that people might have is during busy 4th year, or actually by the time you have to submit your work on the deadline dates, people oftentimes relax because it's after interviews, and you may know if you're early match where you're going to. It's really handing those products on time so that the committee has time to evaluate it. But apart from that, I mean, you'll have done everything during this year, so it's kind of a no-brainer, if you ask me. Thanks.
Thank you, Peter. So let's do a quick little administrative Q&A if you have any questions right now of what you heard or what you can expect for the coming year. We're going to hear from Joel shortly about the actual programmatic stuff, but for right now, if you have any housekeeping questions, you have the rest of us at your disposal.
What's your official status with UCSF going to be, like student versus employee?
Leave of absence. You're on a leave of absence, so you're affiliated with UCSF still.
Is there a specific capacity that we're affiliated in?
I think you're still called students, but you're on a leave of absence. You don't turn into an employee, is what I'm saying. You're still considered a student.
I can totally direct this to someone later, but the malpractice, do you know if that applies internationally or if you?
Let's talk about that afterwards.
Yeah.
As far as the committees, I could probably ask this afterwards too, like if you're gonna go to a different institution, like meeting with these companies.
Peter?
Sorry?
Like I'm going to a different institution, so do I?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's really who you want to be in your fan club is essentially the bottom line. I mean, there are people who you want to have, which are your mentor for sure, your primary mentor, who is going to be primary mentor during the year. Somebody in your thematic area, so somebody, Dan and Joel may have other advice about that as well. And then a third person who is typically, I think, a healthy thing is to have somebody in the general field, but not in the specific area, because we're talking about people who are giving you advice not only about the specific science that you're doing, but again, but about communication too. So sometimes it's helpful to have somebody who's not totally embedded with the specific science that you're doing, but somebody who's in a related field can give a different perspective as well. Whether or not they could be in this institution or next could be fulfilled, as that third person. But the main point is to get them all together.
So they don't have to be UCSF faculty?
I mean,
Of the three, I think that they definitely don't all, but I
Yeah.
think two of them.
two of them,
should
yeah,
be
so the
UC.
primary mentor, and at least two of them should be.
Okay.
And they don't all have to meet at the same time either. It's oftentimes very difficult to get people together. So some people may meet with two, and then you meet with one separately, and then bring them up to speed. So that's the way it will work.
Okay.
Are email accounts active throughout the year?
Yes, I checked on this 2 days ago. In fact, all of your My Access accounts are still active throughout the year. And if for some reason it gets turned off, I know how to get it turned on. But you should be fine. Any other questions? Hi.
Thanks, Dr. PCH. I'm a big fan. This program sounds really promising. If one faculty has multiple requests to be on people's committees, is that okay?
As long as they say yes. I mean, it's up to the limitation of the faculty member, but I know that there have been faculty members who have been on more than one committee. And they, I think as a student, you shouldn't worry about that. You just ask them, and they will tell you if it's a little bit too much on their plate or not at that specific time. But again, the way to think about your committee is it's different. All the members of the committee don't have all to have the same level of involvement with you. For example, your primary mentor will probably see you a lot. But the members of the committee who are not directly in your specific science, giving you specific mentorship, they're probably going to just see you like 2 or 3 times over the course of 2 years. So I think it's going to be, that's the way you pitch it to them if they haven't been involved in this program.
I wasn't sure if there's like weekly, like behind the scenes meetings or something.
Not with the committee in general, but with your primary mentor, we expect you to meet with them. And we expect the mentor or representative to meet with you very frequently, once a week at least during the year.
Do you have gym access during the year?
No, and that is noted on there. You don't get gym access. Sorry, guys. You can pay for it yourself, but unfortunately, we can't take care of that for you.
It's $20 a month.
I think it's 100.
No, I went last week.
Dan, you had something to say about mentors?